we go.
Yo, what up, folks? It is another week. It's another Wednesday night. A tough week for all people here in the NFC South. It must be Southbound and Really Down podcast. What's up, fellas? I'm glad to be here tonight. We're going to go through a little therapeutic process together and discuss NFC South and talk about the future of this division and what my good friend Greg Barber described as the division nobody wants to win. Say hello, Greg.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, it's looking more and more like the division nobody wants to win because it just. I mean, nobody's won, and God knows when.
That's the
So
truth.
anyway, my name is yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, my name's Greg. You can contact me at IntenseGB on Twitter. Definitely feel free to hit me up anytime.
Joe, say hello.
What up, guys? It is the freaking Puerto Rican, and I'm happy to be here on Wednesday for another episode of the dopest NFC South podcast on the interwebs.
On the interwebs from 10 to 11. Business operations.
That's right.
Well, we got a special thing planned, Joe. Go ahead and tell them of what the special guest is and new member.
All right, finally, folks, we have hunted and tracked down and stalked, and finally, we found someone bold enough to step up and be a rep for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I would like to. It is my pure pleasure to introduce the newest member of our esteemed panel. His name is Mr. Well, we just call him Gene, the hot loving machine.
Yeah.
Gene, say hello to everybody.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's the Super Heavyweight. That's what I go by on Twitter, so I get my handle up there later on. But been a Bucs fan for a while, man. It's been a rough season for everybody, and we're pretty much at ground zero to see who gets to the playoffs.
Well, right now, no one. Everybody's decided that we're going to forfeit our bid to the playoffs this week. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump in. This is a podcast for people. My name is Tony Dunn. I'm the professor. This is the NFC Southbound and Down podcast for anyone who's interested in the NFC South and what's going on. We try to, just tackle it from a fun roundtable type discussion. This is hosted by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. This is where you can find all the videos and stuff. Check us all out. So what I want to start off and ask is this. I'm going to start with Greg tonight because the Saints had an interesting week. They've had an interesting season. What is the temperature in New Orleans after that loss in Detroit?
Well, for the most part, I think a lot of Saints fans are angry. Most of them are pointing the fingers. In a lot of cases, they pointed a little bit at Rob Ryan and the defense. A lot of people pointed to Drew Brees, and a lot of people pointed, of course, to Sean Payton. The usual suspects that most people blame when things go a little wrong. The thing about it is that with this, the game was crap. I'm sorry. The refs made some seriously bad calls in that game that really changed it up for the Saints. That easily the Saints should have won this game. But also the Saints blew plays themselves. Don't get me wrong. The 73-yard touchdown that Golden Tate ran. If Corey White just looks to tackle the guy instead of trying to jump the route, it's a different story. The chances are Tate is tackled right there, and who knows what happens after that. They may not score. So same thing with Drew Brees. If he takes the sack instead of throwing the interception, So there's a lot of plays that could have went one way or another. The same thing, like I said, with the ref calls. Overall, I'm still in a sense optimistic that Saints can win this division. I mean, I think they have the best shot at it. Well, and probably Carolina in a sense too. Both Saints and Carolina, I think, have the best shot at it right now, and it can go either way with these two. I don't know exactly what to say about Atlanta right now. I think they're more decimated than anybody as far as injury at this point. So I don't know if they can get off the mat and get into the race like they expected to.
Dean, how do you feel about him leaving y'all's team out of that entire discussion?
Oh, that's been going on for years, man. I'm used to it, and eventually we are going to come back and right the ship. I think we're on the right path with the coach that we have and our general manager. We've been hurt by a lot by injuries. I'm not making excuses. We haven't executed like we should. We should have won that game against the Saints. Realistically, if we had better quarterback play and our defense hadn't given up all the plays that they did, we would have been a lot better off. One thing that I am looking forward to. I mean to cut you off. We've got a lot of players that are coming back off of injury. Deshaun Golston. We've got Sims, our second-round draft pick, who's coming back off of injury. We've got our middle linebackers coming off of injury. So we've got a lot of players, and they're getting healthy at the right time. So I'm hoping, this game against Minnesota that we can kind of show what this team can really do.
Are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, what's their record right now?
1-5.
1-5.
1-5. Greg, you guys are what? 2-4?
2-4.
And Joe, we are 4-3.
3-3-1.
That's right, 3-3-1. Dean, are you guys even really out of it?
No, not at all.
No, they're not out of it. I just don't think they can pick themselves off the mat to do it. That's why I left them out.
Right.
That's why. I like Glennon, but if y'all put McGowan back out there, wrap it up. It's over for you guys.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with you. I honestly believe that Glennon should have had a chance to compete for the starting position. It shouldn't have been handed over to a career backup running back quarterback. It should have never happened. It should have been competition at all levels because this coach comes in here. He wants to win right now. You want the best player on the field. You don't want your guy on the field.
Joey, let's while we're talking about teams that are in the dumps, tell us the temperature in Charlotte with the Carolina Panthers, because here's the thing is that and the reason I turned the mic over quickly to Gene after Greg discussed the state of the Saints is that really no one is winning.
No.
Not a single team is winning.
Nope.
And by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers having a bye week, they're the only ones that were spared of any misery last week. And so, Joey, tell us in reaction to all of that what the temperature in Carolina is.
Well, let me put it to you this way. Out of the last 5 games that the Carolina Panthers have played, we've only won a single game out of the last 5. Okay, so that's
pretty terrible.
That puts things in perspective. I think there is a lot of anger, frustration. The fans have become impatient. It's one thing if we're losing, but we're putting up a fight, but we're getting smoked. It's not like these are close games. We're getting embarrassed. So I think that in Charlotte, they really need to see something from this team. For me personally, it starts on the defensive side, and it's just the effort that the guys are putting forth. They're not putting forth the effort. They're not the same team as last year because they're missing personnel. Yes, but last year's team swarmed to the ball. You had 7 or 8 guys around the ball every time there was a throw or run. Now you see 1 or 2 guys around the ball. Guys are getting pushed around, out of position. They're not maintaining their gap control because they're getting thrown around. And that's just not competing. And that's what I think we really need to see. Thomas Davis himself said it. He said that he's not seeing the guys go after it.
Well, I think that's the kind of the feeling. I'm trying to gauge what the outlook is for each of these organizations because being a Panthers fan and running CarolinaCatChronicles.com with the crew, is that I just so invested in the Carolina Panthers and that outlook, and I so emotionally get into it. And right now, I do feel that there's I feel a wet blanket wrapped around Charlotte and people's spirits. There's not a optimism, I don't think, that's real genuine at
No.
this moment in Carolina. And so going back to New Orleans,
Yeah.
are you guys still, is that pervading the New Orleans fan base or the writings yet? Are you guys starting to go, this season is getting out of hand?
No, no, not at all. Because the thing about it, if you look at it, we were 2-4. Three of those four losses, we easily could have won all three of those games. We lost those games by 3 points or less. All that was that we just did not finish games. And that's basically what it came down to. You guys were getting your teeth kicked in some of these games. That's a total difference compared to getting to losing by a field goal or 1 point. Two different ball games. So it's for us, it's still some optimism there in a sense because we're not getting blown out of games except for one, and that was the Dallas game. And that was a little bit of a revenge game for Dallas because of what we did to them the year before. So you can't kind of blame Dallas for wanting to pour it on a little bit in that one. But the rest of the games, I mean, Detroit, we lost by 1 point. Atlanta, we lost by 3 points. Cleveland, you lost by 2 points. Think about it. I mean, those games right there easily were winnable. They were winnable. Just a couple plays here and there could have won them. So it's still optimistic. It's just annoying because you know that you could have won those games. We could have been 5-1 and probably had the division almost in hand, or at least we've been at least a couple games ahead of you guys.
And in control of the
in serious control. In serious control.
All right, here we go, Greg. I'm going to ask you this. You did lose those games because you didn't finish.
Yes.
What surprises me is that this Saints team is not a young team. It has plenty of veterans on it. If it was a bunch of rookies, I could see them not, still having to learn to close games out. But you don't have a bunch of rookies over there.
We have a lot of second and third year players, and when it really comes down to a lot of the guys are second and third year players who played with the team for a couple of years, and for whatever reason they're just not finishing games. It almost reminds me of the year before the Super Bowl, 2008, where they lost. I think they lost like 5. They were 8-8 that year. They lost like 5 games, like less than a touchdown. 5 games. They just could not finish those games. Easily, if they had won those 5 games were literally like 1 play away from winning. And it's like right here, just within a grasp of winning. They were just that close to winning these games, and it's a different season. But I mean, the whole key here is that if they can't finish games down the stretch here, this is a totally different season. I think. I mean, it flips because you really think about it. I mean, they could easily go on a win streak. The talent's there. I mean, they're a little beat up because they got some players who are hurt, and they definitely with Detroit. The Detroit game, they lost like 3-4 players. I mean, Pierre Thomas out for a couple weeks.
I heard that.
He's out for a couple weeks. Kyrie Robinson was hurt a little bit, but I think he's going to play. He's going to play. Ingram just got back. Kenny Stills, he was a little hurt. Jonathan Goodwin's a little hurt. They got, so they got a list of guys. But for the most part, I still think they're healthy and deep enough to do it. I think our biggest riddle is still that second cornerback spot. Who can we get to hold down that other side next to Keenan Lewis? If we can just get one guy who can be solid and not up and down. I think the defense settles in a little more, and communication. They're still having a little trouble communicating. But I will give them in that Detroit game. They played good for 55 minutes of that game, and it just fell apart in that last 4. And it was just simple as that. But they held Detroit down for the most part. Detroit had nothing going on in that game.
Well, I feel kind of like Carolina had an opportunity to stay in the game. On that first drive, there were a couple penalties that were just bonehead plays, man. Gave first downs to the Packers, and you can't do that with the Packers with an Aaron Rodgers offense. They're going to kill you. You know, if you make mistakes like that, they're going to kill you. You know, I'm going to make mention of this. I'm sure you guys heard that Randall Cobb beat up Charles Godfrey so bad the team cut him yesterday.
Wow.
He had that bad of a game that he was on this team for 7 years, man. And they said, see ya, because you are not getting the job done. So, you know, once they get up 3 touchdowns, you're totally taken out of your offense. Your defense is, you know, they're distraught or frustrated. And it was just at that point, it was like, oh my God, are we going to be able to at least keep it close or respectable? And no, we didn't. But this team has some major issues it has to deal with. They're starting. They just resigned. Who did they just resign, Tony? Dockery.
Chris Scott.
Yeah, Dockery.
And James Dockery.
Yeah, Dockery's starting at corner this week. The team cut him after training camp. He was a cut. So that's how desperate we are, is what I'm saying. That's how desperate we are. And much like you guys,
you know who's been terrible, Greg, is damn Roman Harper.
Mm-hmm.
What is he? What happened?
He's been
Roman
awful.
Harper is just played. He has a walker. I mean, for real, is that he looks like. I think, you know what he reminds me of is a basketball player who never had any physical gifts and is still but you know, always could shoot the ball okay, could dribble all right, had all right, and then he's kind of getting older and he's just trying to be like savvy, like, you know, like pump fake, and you're like, and then pass, and like he just don't got what it takes, I don't think, anymore to play the way that he played well at in the first place.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, I mean,
he's a liability in pass coverage.
he's supposed to be. Oh yeah, all right. We could settle for that, Greg. Is that he has been? We're not asking him to do pass coverage. We signed him to tackle, to be a tackling safety, and he looks scared to tackle mugs. Like, he is not tackling, so he can't even do what he's brought in to do. So this is what I think, Joe. I think Charles Godfrey got cut because
Gettleman wouldn't want to admit a mistake.
yes. Because Godfrey had no business coming back off of that injury and trying to play nickel corner.
Right.
He had no business playing that when he was healthy.
Right.
So this is to put him at an unnatural position. Now I think Roman Harper back there, and he just stinks.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you know what? I didn't ever like him in the first place, so I really don't mind saying that at this point. I tried to be nice. He added me on Twitter after a long campaign. But really, all right. Yeah, Scott.
I want to bring Gene in. Gene, you say that some of your guys are coming back from injury. I'm interested on hearing specifically who, and I do want to ask you on Twitter or maybe some other place. I saw mention, and I don't know if it's been squashed or not, about Vincent Jackson being trade bait.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he is. And right now they're looking at anything they can get for draft value. Right now we're in rebuilding mode. I didn't think we were at the beginning of the season, but that's pretty much where we are right now. We are rebuilding this team.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what you hear from anybody else. You look at how our players are. We have players that aren't made for the cover 2 defense that we are running, and they have them in these positions. Case in point, Deshaun Golston. Deshaun Golston has no business playing, in my opinion, in cover 2.
No.
Because he's a hitter, and what his specialty is right now has been pretty much negated by the way the NFL is right now, where you can't touch anybody. So the thing that was his strength is now his weakness. So, you know, he serves no purpose really. I think the with Mark Barron, Hey, I'm being honest here. You know, I mean,
Right. He's
if you look at what he's done since he's been in Tampa, he hasn't done a lot other than get a lot of fines and
Hmm.
suspensions and injuries. I mean, he has
that's it.
not. Being realistic here, he hasn't done anything to help the team to win.
Yeah.
The team has, from top to bottom, has been pretty bad. I know and I'm not making excuses, but when you have new coaching staff from top to bottom, you have over 70% of your team is new, whether it's draft picks or free agency.
Sure.
You know, sometimes gelling takes a long time.
Sure.
You've gone away from whatever, I don't know what the heck Greg Schiano was running last year, where his base defense was a blitz. You don't see that. You don't even see that on Madden. And this is what he's doing. You know. So now we're at a point where we have a direction. I like our general manager, and I think that we are going in the right direction. But right now, it's just rough sailing for us, especially for us.
Yeah.
So what is the price tag for Vincent Jackson? You have any idea?
That I'm not for sure.
Yeah, I haven't heard either. I mean, I live here in Tampa too, and I heard about that he was
What
on
do
the
you
block.
guys think it should be? How about that? What do you think
Um,
it should be? What do you think
and
he's
then-
worth?
It's hard to say because of his age, for one.
Right. that
And
hurts.
then you have to look at what he does, what he brings to a locker room. So it's kind of hard to say because he's got pluses and minuses there.
Hmm.
Yeah, in my opinion, because I think he's one of those receivers that are about to fall off the cliff. He is really, really close to being done, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, he's probably good for a 1 year, 2 year deal with a team. But like a contending team. You know what I
How
mean?
much time is left on his deal now?
I think he's got maybe a year left, maybe a year or
Yes,
so.
I think he's got a year left.
He's
And
got
and
like-
I'm
4 year deal or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't think he was gonna spend
And I'm-
money personally.
Me neither.
I didn't think.
I'm not bad mouthing my team. I'm just, I'm pointing out what I'm seeing here, with the team and what can be improved.
Exactly.
I think there are a lot of players that would fit better in the cover two that Lovie Smith is running than who we have right now.
Yeah.
Because our secondary, Altron Werner, I like him. I think he needs help on the other side, and he needs help behind him, over the top. And that's what's really been hurting us right there is we gave up 35 points with Joe Flacco. I mean, that just tells you right there our secondary is hurting really bad.
I agree.
Hey, Joey, what about Goldston? What does he play? Does he play strong or free?
Yeah, I think he's
gotta be strong.
He's strong. Yeah, he's strong.
He doesn't have free
We-
safety. He's no way should fall free safety.
Would you be willing, Joey? Could we use him? I know we play a lot of the same types of defenses, but we got no safety right now.
My concern is his injuries. He's been so injured. To tell you the truth, I'd rather look at getting a Vincent Jackson at a really cheap, like for a 5th-round pick or a 6th-round pick.
And that's all I'm thinking of. The highest is 4th round for Jackson.
Like, that's what I thought too. Right,
I
that's
think
the
that's
most.
the highest, and that might even be too much.
Right, that's why I say go for a 5th or 6th, and he could come in and really help this offense, man. Just because he's a big dude like Kelvin,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and he's got decent speed. He does have decent speed.
yeah, but he's still dropping balls left and right. What I see, he'll catch 1 or 2 passes here and there, but he dropping balls too. He is dropping balls. Am I right?
Yeah, he does that. Well, I don't know. There are critical plays that he's made, but there are times where he should catch the ball and he's
I mean,
not.
I've seen him hit him right on the numbers, right in his hands.
Mhm.
And that ball, it's like a hot potato to him, and he won't catch it.
But I personally, I don't want to see him trading. I don't want to see that. I think he's an important part of this team. I think when we need a pass, he's the guy we go to until our Safarian Jenkins and our wide receiver,
Mike Evans.
Mike Evans. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Once they get going, once they learn the offense, I think that we'll be all right. But we still need somebody, that leadership role in our locker room. especially for our wide receivers.
Yeah, but is he really a leader? I mean, because I never view him as like one of those leader types to me. You know what I mean? I don't
Well,
know. I mean, and I could be wrong.
he
But I
leads.
just don't see him like that.
He's more of a lead by example kind of guy. I think that a lot of people. I mean, he's taught Mike Evans a lot. Stephon Jenkins has both mentioned that he's mentored them and shown him the right way to come into the NFL and the right things to do. So I think that him being in the locker room is a big thing, because if you look back at the Buccaneers going all the way back to 2010, we have not had veteran leadership. That's the one thing that we have missed. And you talk about Kellen Winslow. He's not a leader. He was never a leader.
No,
and that was about as close as we had to veteran leadership on this team. And I mean, you look at our team, 54-man roster, top to bottom, and other than Gerald McCoy, and on the field, I think that might be the only one I would consider maybe.
McCoy's like the only guy. I mean, I don't look at Levante David as a leader. He's a player. He's a kind of a lead by example type dude. But I mean, as far as your vocal leader, McCoy's the closest we got,
Right.
and he's still fairly young and learning.
Yeah,
I think he's been trying to assume that role. I think you've seen an effort by him this year to take a leadership role. When he was injured, he was outspoken. I like that dude a lot.
Oh yeah,
and I heard that there's a guy that used to be your quarterback coach, Gene. His name is Steve Logan, and he's the former coach of my alma mater's football team. He's got a radio show, and he was talking about Gerald McCoy. He said that Gerald McCoy was one of the only defensive linemen that he's ever coached that he thought could read. And he said that, I mean, he was being nice. He said this guy is a smart dude for a position that is usually not played by the smartest fellows.
Yeah.
He said it was like catching a unicorn.
Well, I've heard a lot of former players make comments about his sportsmanship, the fact that he'll help a player up off the ground. You know what? From whistle to whistle, that's all I care about. Yeah, you can help a guy up, but from whistle to whistle, he's a totally different person, and that's all that matters to me.
Agreed. Yeah, because I heard when Warren Sapp made that comment myself, I heard about that. I'm like, really? Out of all the list of things that the Bucks got problems with, that's the least of my worries, whether he helping somebody's ass off.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
I think he should be twisting ankles. That's what I think he should be doing.
There you go. A little ankle.
And I do want to kind of touch on something you talked about earlier about with McCown coming back off his injury. I really hope this guy stays on the bench. I would like to see what Glennon has been lights out, and I think not lights out, but 300-yard games.
The team responded more to him.
He's an upgrade, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
The team responded much better to him.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I'm looking forward to. But Lovie Smith has alluded to possibly bringing this guy back in again, and I don't know why.
Well, because you know why? Because he signed him. He brought him in. He signed him to a big money contract. Mm-hmm. He may want to bench him, but the GM might be saying, "Look, I signed this dude to like a $4 million contract. I can't have him on the bench." You know what I mean? In that sense, at least give him a shot at. But I mean, McGowan's been brutal.
Yeah. That interception, he bounced past the ball to himself and then threw an interception. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry.
He played poorly. He played poorly against Carolina in Week 1.
Yeah.
If it wouldn't have been, if you took away that fourth quarter when we played you guys, he would have had a his numbers would have been horrendous.
Mm-hmm.
Is that he put up some numbers that made it look like respectable. I think it was 17 points or 14 points right at the end. But, I mean, it wasn't garbage time in that game ever. I don't think that it was. But it had been for 3 quarters with him. So he stinks, and he was never good. See, here's the thing: is that they shouldn't. If they signed Greg, if that's about the money, and that's why they don't want to bench him, they were they were dumb to pay him. I don't think they paid him that much. I mean, they did. I mean, they paid him like you're saying, but like, it's not like they should have known when coming in that he was a guy that they thought was a little bit more well prepared and veteran.
He's a career backup.
Right.
Yeah, but if McCown could win the job, they got to go with him.
I mean,
not McCown, Glennon.
Glennon. Yeah, but I see, and I like the minute they signed him, and anybody could tell you. I mean, I can go. I went a couple shows with Sharona. You know Sharona.
Yeah.
And I went a couple shows with her. The minute they signed him, I said, "You got two backups now." Is basically what I called it at the point, because Glennon basically was considered as a backup. And I said that was the worst thing they did was signing McGowan. I was like, they turn around, they let Mark Trestman is he's a musician with quarterbacks, so he could take a crap quarterback and make him halfway decent, and he just proved that. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what he did with McGowan, because now he came right back.
It was only a 5-game stretch or 6-game stretch too, so we really didn't get to see that much of him.
But you know what? But it's still not. It's no different than, to me. His signing was no different than when they signed Scott Mitchell back years ago when Detroit signed Scott Mitchell.
Yeah, I remember that. From Miami.
You know what I mean? Who else? Well, let's see, Matt Castle for that season. You know what I mean?
Flynn. Look at Matt Flynn and what he did.
Exactly.
He robbed a few teams.
Exactly, and he got two like huge contracts out of that. You know what I mean? And that was all it was. It was just a magician signing. You got a coach who could make a quarterback look decent, and the quarterback came out there, played the system. He goes elsewhere, make the money, and then the engine falls out.
Right.
All right. I got a question about quarterbacks for you, Greg. Are we seeing Drew Brees? I think we're seeing somewhat
the demise.
Yes. Now, how quickly that is, I'm not implying.
Let's say it like this. I don't think as much as the. I mean, everybody's been banning this around. I don't look at it like that. Okay, look at it like, for one. Now, don't get me wrong. Is he not making like rookie mistakes to a point? Because he's trying to force plays. That's all I see. Every time I see him, he's trying to scramble out and throw the ball and trying to force a pass, when he probably should just take the sack and just live another day. So that's what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing him necessarily having I don't think his arm is that bad. I don't think he's losing an arm string. I don't think any of that crap is happening. All I think is that he's forcing stuff. He's trying to make a play.
It comes down to his decision making.
Yeah, his decision making skills it ain't diminishing. He knows he should be doing better than that. I mean, but he'll still try to force it.
Really? I get that, and he's made some poor decisions, and we're not used to seeing him do that.
Exactly.
Has he gotten away with that in the past, and we just haven't noticed it, or is it?
You know what? I mean, like a couple years ago, I think it was more sometimes the defense has disguised some things, because I saw a couple plays where he was susceptible to, where he would think the linebacker was rushing, but the linebacker ended up dropping in the coverage, and he'd throw the ball to a spot, especially if he's trying to throw to a particular spot, and the linebacker just dropped in and he just catches the pass. You know what I mean? Because if he's trying to play like, West Coast ball is basically looking at your progressions. If you're doing like more of the vertical type offense, you're throwing it to a spot, a timing pattern, like a timing throw. You're throwing it to a spot, and the receiver supposed to break out and catch that pass. And I think that's where he gets caught up sometimes in that one. But see, I mean, like the Detroit game, I think it's just more decision. I think it's more decision based.
So
if I can say,
sure.
Jimmy Graham has really hurt. Him being hurt has hurt the team.
Yeah.
Because of all the yards he was giving the Saints last year, and he's been injured off and on, and he just hasn't been able to give them the same production. And that's one less weapon that Drew Brees has to throw to now. And I question the wide receivers that you guys have. I like your rookie, but outside of the rookie, you guys do not have quality wide receivers compared to other teams.
I don't deny that. Colston definitely on his way down. He's one of the other guys I said in the NFC South. Like I said, with Vincent Jackson, I thought Colston was a guy that's kind of on his way down out there too. That's kind of falling off that cliff. I like Cooks, but I would love to see them stretch Cooks and bring Cooks instead of using all the trick reverse plays. I want to see them take him down the field. This dude got like 4.3 speed.
Yeah.
I would love to see Drew take him down the field a couple times and out and try to blow the top off the cover.
Yeah.
And, see if he can get a couple passes there. Use him and I think also Joe Morgan. Joe Morgan is another guy, I think, because he got a lot of speed himself. They should be using a lot more, too, instead of using Robert Meacham. I think that's half his problem right there. They would use Robert Meacham for when he's doing the long ball plays, and he should be using Joe Morgan. Joe Morgan is the fast guy.
What I want to know is this. I want to know why. I want to know if a quarterback's best friend is the running game, and New Orleans has had some pretty good success running the ball. Why aren't they doing more of it?
Yes.
Darren Sproles ain't there no more.
Right, but they've got
they've been doing fine without Darren Sproles.
Right, they've got some really good running backs there. I know Ingram's coming back.
Yeah.
What about
Tavares
Thomas? And who's the third guy?
Cadet is another one.
Yeah,
and you got Robinson
Robinson.
Yeah, Kyrie Robinson.
They've got a stable of backs, and they're all good. So I don't understand why they're not running the ball more.
Well, they pounded quite a bit. Now, the Detroit game, they didn't do it as much because Detroit just was kind of stuffing the run a little more than usual. And number two, I think with Ingram, they were trying to use him more on outside plays instead of running him up the middle. Ingram is better. I think they better off using Ingram up to, bring him in between the tackles. And
he should never run outside of a tackle.
Yeah, he's trying to run on the outside, and that's where he was getting killed in Detroit there. If they put him in, run him inside, he's going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think you guys are overlooking the answer to this question.
Hey, Tony, Scott just text. Twitter on Twitter. Add him.
Nice.
Invite him.
I think you're missing the answer to this question, guys, and it's very simple. Sean Payton is the reason they're not running the ball. Is he is allergic to running the football. Payton's running the ball quite a bit. I mean, how is it that they have what the 11? What is the number 11 here in rushing, or something like that? No, ninth in rushing. They're ninth in rushing, so he's got to be running the ball to be ninth in rushing. So I mean, I don't think you're never gonna see his team commit to that though.
They committed this year. You can't say that because they're running like 120 yards a game. I think it's like 123 yards a game, rushing the ball. So how is that not a commitment? I can see if he was running 60 or 70 yards, then that's not a commitment.
I guess I wonder how many pass attempts did Drew Brees have in the last game? I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked at the stats.
I want to say it was probably close to 40. It was probably close to 40 something. But like I said, in this game right here, they didn't run as much because Chicago was stuffing the run a lot. So they did have to throw more. But they have a lot of other games where they were a little more even with the run.
All right, Joe, I got a question for you, and that is, since we've talked about quarterbacks, we've gone from across the board on quarterbacks. Cam Newton, how good is he going to have to be for the Panthers to make this season something that, I guess, positive?
Well, Scott, hello. Thank you for joining us. We are so very glad to have you. And yes, Tony, I think Cam Newton is a much better quarterback than Matt Ryan.
Crackheads Anonymous meets on Thursday.
I just wanted to get a rise out of Scott.
He's gonna take that dig real quick.
Cam is going to have to continue doing what he's doing. He's going to have to continue to have that high quarterback rating. He's going to have to continue to have a high completion percentage. And truthfully, I liked what I saw in the Green Bay game with the
Turquoise Jesus.
The flea flicker. The flea flicker. But why are you going to throw it to one of the slowest receivers in the whole NFL? I mean, you might as well have been throwing it to Greg Olsen. What are you for crying out loud?
By that point, I had already checked out of that game.
Well, they ran a flea flicker late, and it was good because, you know, it was something nobody was expecting. But Jericho Cotchery was the receiver, and even if the defensive back got fooled, Jericho Cotchery's so slow, the DB would be able to catch right back up to him. You know, I think
I'm probably faster than Jericho Cotchery at this point.
Right, I bet you at least 4 out of 5 guys on this panel are faster than Jericho Cotchery. I bet you. I bet.
Tommy included.
It would not be me.
That is what the Panthers are going to have to do. They're going to have to continue to focus this on Cam, this offense around Cam. Now, you know, we're banged up on the line big time. We've got a lot of people hurt. We had to sign Chris Scott, who I'm not the biggest fan of, but he's a body, so he'll get in the way if nothing else.
Oh, that's right. We just need warm bodies in Carolina at this point.
Hey, Richie Incognito's still available, ain't he?
He is, and at this point, I would take him because he's not a bad guard.
He's like,
well, I don't know. He's been out of the game for a little bit now, so ain't no telling what he's like now.
Right.
Did you say he's not a bad guy?
No, he is a bad guy.
But not a bad guy.
He's not a bad guy.
I got you. All right, Scott. Since I am officially slower than Jericho Cotchery, and I'm the odd man out. I went to the gym today because I've been getting fat, and I don't go to the gym. So, and I was listening to Falcon Central Radio on the treadmill, and I gotta say, you guys I was inspired to actually run a little bit because last week I would have killed myself. I would have quit and just went and ate Twinkies. But this week you guys were uplifting. So tell us, what's the temperature in Atlanta this week? Because it seemed higher. It seemed alive yesterday.
The 5 stages of grief. Denial. Yes. Bargaining.
Right.
What is it?
I don't know.
Denial, bargaining, anger. There's something else, and then acceptance, right?
Right.
Acceptance.
Okay. So, but I think you guys.
And that any win from here on out is bonus.
Got you.
Outside of Tampa Bay, we should beat Tampa Bay, but everybody else is bonus.
Speaking of Tampa Bay, Scott, right here on the other side of Greg Barber, we have Eugene Thomas, and Gene, the sex machine, is a pro when it comes to knowing what's going on with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Are they finally healthy along that defensive line? Because that's what's been holding them back.
No, Michael Johnson is still like 75%. He's not 100%. We lost our left end.
Claiborne,
yeah, Adrian Claiborne. He's out for the season. So it's just been kind of rotating players in, and we finally got Deshaun Golston healthy. Sims, our second round. Our second round pick running back is back now. Who they were trying to put him in a place to where they could like possibly trade Doug Martin, possibly. I don't know. It was a rumor I had heard. But they wanted.
Is he healthy, Doug Martin?
Doug Martin is healthy, yeah.
Yes.
But our offensive line is so abysmal that you can't get a hole to run through.
No.
Right, they are pretty bad. You're right.
Yeah, they're brutal.
So once again, it's like we piece players together, and people are still trying to learn the system. We don't even have an offensive coordinator. We have our quarterbacks coach is calling the plays because our offensive coordinator is out indefinitely.
So Telford's not going to be back this year. Is that?
I don't see him. I don't foresee him coming back.
He had a heart procedure, didn't he?
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
really impressed. I'm impressed with the offense. I'm not being a homer, but to not have an offensive coordinator and to put up the yards that they're putting up and running some of the plays, I think they're doing better than I thought they would have been doing.
Okay, here, Scott, here it is. Shock and denial, pain and guilt, anger and bargaining, depression, reflection, and loneliness, then the upward turn, reconstruction and working through, and where you are at, acceptance and hope.
Hey, is Julio Jones healthy?
Julio Jones is healthy,
Is he?
so Atlanta could at least be 4-12 this year. Because I think they'll beat Tampa Bay again. Because 1-15 is staring Tampa Bay in the face, unfortunately.
That's the #1 draft pick.
Yeah.
Oh
well,
yeah, they're gonna love Marcus Mariota there.
Welcome, James Winston.
I think they're gonna bring Marcus Mariota.
Okay, I can't wait to see this.
Lovie Smith doesn't like character issues.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I mean, like, really. Let's be dead on serious here. Don't get me wrong. Winston is a knucklehead in a way. He's still a kid in his own way. But that dude right there on the field, he makes really good decisions. He can play.
Yeah.
He makes great decisions in the middle of the first because he's an idiot off of it.
He is
someone to put their foot up his ass. Is what he makes.
But the truth is, most of that stuff, he can outgrow or get better at. He really can. I ain't saying but I'm saying that's something that
put their foot up his ass.
Huh?
You still need someone to just take their foot and just shove it right.
Oh, I agree. The minute they draft him, the first thing they need to do is just shove their foot up his ass and just tell him, son, I'm yours. You can't get out of line. It just can't happen.
That's what Brian Cox did with Rashid Hageman.
Yeah.
And Hageman's starting that upward trend.
Yeah.
The Falcons' defense is starting that upward trend because they're playing guys in the right friggin' spots, which is why there's hope. They're playing Jonathan Massaquoi 75% of the time, and he actually looks decent. So, we got hope in Atlanta.
Somebody. Go ahead, Scott.
I was going to say there's a shot for the NFC South just because I think we'll all agree all of our teams are garbage. All 4 teams in the NFC South are garbage.
Right
they
now,
might as well call it the NFC trash.
I like it. Actually, I don't like it. Who will be at the top of the heap should be the next show. It is. You're right. It's a trash pile, man, and it's hard to watch. I feel like.
Whoever gets to 6 will make the playoffs. Everybody else is out.
Does the Falcons and Saints and Bucks play the Seahawks this year?
Actually,
they don't have to. Luckily.
No, I don't think we have the Seahawks this year. No, we don't.
All right, so we're the only ones in the division that get the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think in that one, this year on the schedule, you had to play who like Seahawks won that division. You guys won the South.
Right. We had
one versus one.
Right.
And I think we have the number 2 team. Who was that? The 49ers. As a matter of fact, yeah, that's who we have. We have
okay. We get Arizona the one year they're good.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Are you in Zona or is it at home?
I want to say it's at home because Atlanta's got in their last 8 games. Honestly, in their last 8 games, it's a pretty damn good schedule because it's at Tampa Bay, it's at Carolina, it's 4 home games, it's at New Orleans. The only game that is, and I'm just talking weather here, the only game that's tough weather-wise is going to be Green. Everything else is a Southern game or it's indoors. A closed stadium.
Yeah.
So, or it's the Georgia Dome. So, it's a really good schedule for Atlanta outside of that Monday night game in Green Bay in December. I've been talking that one.
Good Lord.
Cold.
Don't have Green Bay coming up. Because I would not want to be playing Green Bay in December.
In Green Bay.
It should be illegal to
December
play in
in
Green
Bay.
Bay in December.
I'm gonna predict that one now. Atlanta's gonna lose 56-14.
Well, Green Bay used to be in our division, so I mean, I've been to a game, and it's the coldest. I don't think I've ever been around anything that cold. I've been to Germany, and nothing compares to the cold in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Well, I don't know. I lived in Minnesota, and that was pretty brutal too. Minnesota was pretty nasty. I lived in Minnesota for a short time.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't like that.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, they order each other. Okay.
Madison was colder than Montreal.
I believe that. That place looks. Here's the thing. You guys ever watch on TV and see those fans? They cannot be enjoying themselves. I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody says. Is that you cannot, that experience, if you went to a game with your old lady,
Green
would
Bay
be like this. Yeah, they'd be drinking, and then they'd be like,
I'm gonna say you better get her snockered. You better get her snockered, or you're gonna be a lot of people playing. You better,
I would bring my
you better have like 5 or 6 laughs.
if I went to Wisconsin. His name is Jack Daniels.
Absolutely.
There you go. There you go.
Bean, something, boy. It gotta be high. It gotta be some high maintenance stuff.
I'm gonna go ahead and tell you
Were you at a gas station?
that
I just saw him look like a customer walking. Like, what's going on?
we should ask her what the state of Tampa Bay Buccaneers is.
They're in New Mexico.
I'm in Arizona.
Arizona, yeah.
Oh, he's in Arizona. No wonder you got a tank top on. That is the opposite of Wisconsin. What I think this is, that if the first time somebody scored some points, you'd be like, man, let's go to a bar.
Yeah.
Screw that. Okay. Let's turn our focus this week real quick and let's just do a quick look at the upcoming matchup. We got to do our picks of the week, too. So let's start with Gene. Gene, where are you guys going this week? Tell us what the Tampa Bay Bucks outlook is coming off a bye.
Well, like I said, we've got some players that are coming back. We are playing the Minnesota Vikings, so I think that there is a chance that we'll do good. It'll give our defense a chance to play, and I don't know, is Teddy Bridgewater healthy?
I think he is playing. I think he is, but I'm not even sure on that one.
Okay. Yeah, I know their running back is kind of injured, so
McKinnon should be playing. I think. I know McKinnon should be playing.
Yeah. So I think that with our team right now, and the bye week did us some good. I think we should win this game.
Okay.
I think that is that, and this goes to Scott's point, and when Scott said 1 in 15 staring you in the face, is that if Bridgewater doesn't play that game, nobody can lose to the Minnesota Vikings without him, and he is not, and him alone is not the magic bullet either. Right. So I think that is a very winnable game for any team. Without Adrian Peterson, that team has really just got no teeth to them, and except for Patterson, and he's been unhappy a little bit at this point with how they've incorporated him into the offense. Greg, tell us what the Saints are looking at.
The Saints are playing Green Bay at home Thursday night. Sunday night. I apologize. Sunday night. They're playing the Sunday night game. They're playing the following Thursday, I think, against Carolina. That's what it is.
That's another primetime game. Guys, you guys play primetime every week.
We do not. Cut it out.
Pretty much.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, and 6. My bad. 6 primetime games.
Who?
That's a lot.
There you go.
Oh, sorry, 5 primetime games. Maybe miscounting.
Oh, 5.
That's
still a lot.
A third of the schedule.
Oh, come on. Cut it out. That's not that many.
Atlanta has 2. total.
Hey, there's a reason for that.
There's a reason why the Saints shouldn't have 5. They weren't that good this year. Let's just be honest here. No NFC South team should have more than 2. That's it.
Well, we have
All right,
3.
Well,
We
we'll
have
see.
3.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
but I actually look at the Saints coming back home. Like I said, home games, I pretty much give the Saints. I got to give the Saints the edge on that one. I'm definitely going with the Saints. I know Green Bay is on a hot streak and they're playing very well, but I think the Saints can edge this game out.
When the Saints find a defense, let me know. Until then, I'm going to pick Green Bay on that one.
Other than the last 4 minutes, they played pretty strong against Detroit. They really did. I would give them
Detroit's got
that.
an awful offense, which is why I think Atlanta might stand a chance this week. All right.
Okay,
Detroit's offense is terrible.
You know that what you're going to be doing is you're going to be playing a team, though, Greg, that really can beat y'all.
I'm not arguing that.
They're playing a team that could Baltimore Ravens them. The way Atlanta got destroyed by the Ravens, I could see Green Bay destroying New Orleans.
I don't know if they're that good. I don't think Green Bay's that good, but they got the one thing that
they're 5-2.
the Saints have. They
Against
got
North lead.
well, they pummeled us. I mean,
They
but
destroyed you, and you're a better team.
They dismantled us, yes.
but here's the thing: is Clay Matthews looked awesome in that game, and I don't expect him to play that like that consistently.
He
So-
destroyed Chandler. He killed Nate Chandler. He just made him
Yes.
look like he doesn't even belong on the field.
Isn't New Orleans on
So,
their
I mean, I think
left tackle, though?
Is it Armstead?
No, I
Huh?
think it's Bryce Harris.
Say it again.
Left tackle?
Isn't Armstead hurt?
Armstead for the Saints on Armstead.
And
He's
who's
not
the right
hurt.
tackle?
The right tackle is Street. Zach Street is the right tackle.
I thought Armstead got hurt.
No, Armstead's playing. He's fine.
Oh, he got back? Okay.
Yeah. He hasn't been out. No, he hasn't been out. He was I think no, it was Street that got not loopy, but he got knocked out for a couple of plays and against Detroit, but he came back in. He did come back in and play, but he was only out for like 2 snaps.
All right, Scott, tell us. You guys got the big high-profile game. I should have done this one last. I should have done that last. Actually, let's do your game last since it is international. Joe, who the Panthers? Tell us who the Panthers are facing. What you expect to see.
Panthers are at home versus Seattle. Seattle has had a rough couple of weeks. The formula for beating Seattle has been on display for 2 weeks in a row. So Seattle is going to do everything they can to change their defense so that the formula doesn't work anymore. It's going to come down, as usual, to our offensive line stopping the defensive line of the Seahawks and our defensive line putting pressure on Russell Wilson, but maintaining your rush lanes, because if he gets outside of the pocket, he's very dangerous.
Yeah, it's over.
Not gonna happen, man. I'm gonna tell you is Marshawn Lynch is just gonna eat us alive. That's what I'm worried about so much. So, all right, Scott, I got a question for you. How did it feel visiting with our good old friend Steve Smith last weekend?
It was surprisingly less painful than I thought it was going to be. I was
That's not
predicting
what Alfred or Trufant or whoever he threw their ass to the ground said.
Ishmael, the safety.
Who was it?
Got tired. Kamal Ishmael, the safety. And that's because Ishmael threw him to the ground first, which I kind of like seeing. Steve Smith only had 3 catches for 67 yards against the Falcons.
Well, he didn't want blood and guts everywhere with you guys. He just wanted that with Carolina.
Atlanta honestly did pretty decently against the pass. Like, statistic-wise, it wasn't as bad of a game as people ran it out to. Yeah, Alfred had that big pass interference, which was stupid, but they ran that same play against him 2 more times, and both times he got an interception. So
So
They must have thought they
Steve-
saw something on film that he corrected in game, because he got. I saw Tim Lewis chew him out on the sidelines, and that's what really made the change. That's what made the change. His coach came up to him and said, "If you do that again, you're benched," basically. So he went out and on the same route got 2 picks, and on that deep touchdown to Torrey Smith at the end of the game, that was just a good throw. I mean, you can't beat that throw. No cornerback in the NFL, not even Darrelle Revis, would have been able to stop that throw. Honestly, nobody would have. And he had the best coverage he could have had on that play. It was just a perfect throw, perfect catch.
So Steve Smith only had 1 more catch than he had fights.
2 more catches than fights. Well, no, you're right. 1 more catch because he fought with Trufant earlier too.
Yeah, that's right.
He fought with Trufant. He fought with Kamal Ishmael. The only guy he didn't fight is the guy that intercepted the ball right in front of him. Twice.
That's the guy he should have fought.
Right.
All right, so tell us who you guys are facing. I listened a little bit about it today though, but for the audience, where is Atlanta at? What are they doing?
They get to take on Detroit. They're in England. The game starts at 9:30 in the morning, so that Falcons fans can get their disappointment out early. Basically, that's how I feel about the game. It's not a fun game. I hate seeing teams play in England because I feel like it's a waste of money.
And time.
And it doesn't do anything to help the team. The only way to get a fair level playing field is if everybody had to play an international game of some sort.
Yes, I agree 100%.
Every team should play 17 games and have an international game in there. And that international game should be like a localized rivalry, if you will. Like Miami versus Tampa, or Atlanta versus Tennessee, or Carolina versus not Washington, Carolina versus Baltimore. Like, get your AFC, NFC pairing, and have a backup pairing for when they play that conference. I think that'd be fun. But that's just the thought.
Is it? I always think this is silly, so I gotta ask it. Is this a home or away game for the Falcons?
It's a home game. It's a home game for Atlanta.
It's the home game that they gave up this year.
Yes.
Oh, that's terrible.
The reason why Atlanta volunteered to go to England is they were figuring out ways to make Mike Smith's road to coming back next year the hardest they could. Take this team to England and win, and do hard knocks, and do this and do that. Because if you can do all this and still make the playoffs, you deserve to keep your job. Because otherwise, well, you're just going to get fired.
Pretty much.
That's what Arthur Blank. Although I could see Mike Smith retiring at the end of the year.
How long does he have on his contract anyway, Smith?
Just 1 more season, and he can
season.
retire and get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the Falcons would still have to pay him, but no one would care because Mike Smith wouldn't coach. And if he retired, they could promote Keith Armstrong from within, who I think should be the head coach right now.
Keith Armstrong?
What if they left him in England and made him
As long as they promoted Keith Armstrong
ambassador?
coach, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, I don't. Why do I think they're gonna go more high profile? You know, I mean, as far as if they get another coach, it's gonna try to go a little more high profile.
I don't care about high profile. I care about putting the right man in the job. And right now,
I agree.
at least for the rest of the season,
I don't disagree with you there. I'm just saying that, you know, that the likelihood that Blank might be thinking of, you know, he may not be thinking about hiring within, because knowing him, he might wipe out that whole crew, that whole coaching staff, and bring in.
Well, I can tell you right now, it's not going to be Harbaugh.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be Harbaugh. No, I don't see Harbaugh there.
You're not on Arthur Blank's wish list.
Yeah.
Because that was the problem he had with Dan Reeves. That was a problem he had with Jim Mora, is those guys didn't agree with their GM.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't have them at all as the head coach. Now Rex Ryan, on the other hand, is a guy he would love.
Rex Ryan?
See, Ryan is not that bad of a coach. In my opinion, I think Ryan's a lot better than what people give him credit for personally. Huh?
He has no idea how to develop offense.
That is much like
he'd be fine.
Yeah, much like Love.
You don't have a problem with offense if you come to Atlanta, so that would be a good fit.
Get him right.
Atlanta needs offensive line, which I've seen Rex Ryan teams able to develop, and they need, which I've seen Rex Ryan teams able to develop. So Atlanta's weaknesses are his strengths. They've got skill players, they got wide receivers, they got quarterback, they got running backs, they got three talented running backs, because I'm not including Steven Jackson in that group. You know, got the ability to play. They just don't have that motivator who, if he could keep, I feel like he could keep everybody underneath him, underneath Mike Smith, the exact same, and just put Rex Ryan in there, and the entire team would be that much better.
Yeah, I don't see that part happening. He might keep a couple people, but I don't think Ryan will keep most of that crew.
Well, since Ryan's got connections with Tyson, Nolan, and a couple of these guys, I think he'll keep them. And Cox, he was Cox's position coach in New York.
Well, Cox he knows. Cox he knows.
And he knows Mike Nolan because he worked under Nolan.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true.
So there's some guys that stick around.
How would it be to see Rob Ryan and Rex Ryan in the same division?
Oh my God!
It would be insufferable.
It would be.
Joey, what about this? Is that is what Scott's suggesting suggests that Harbaugh is gone after this season.
Yeah,
Rivera craps the bed. What about Harbaugh in Carolina?
No, Harbaugh's going to Michigan.
Really?
Yeah, he's going to go coach at his alma mater.
Give him $15 million a year to fix that program.
He'll be a god there in Michigan. He will be a god. He'll have the run of the town.
Yeah. I still think he goes to a pro team. I still think that Harbaugh stays pro.
I don't.
I think he's going to jump at the chance to go back to his alma mater.
If he does that, I keep thinking that either Rex Ryan. I almost look at Rex Ryan going to the Raiders as a Raiders head coach more than anybody.
He screams Raiders, which is why I think Atlanta should bring him in. Although I wouldn't complain if Atlanta brought in Hugh Jackson as the head coach either.
Hugh Jackson deserves a chance. Hugh Jackson definitely deserves a chance.
Todd Bowles. Give me Todd Bowles.
I like him. Actually, I'll tell you, Paris Hughes is another one on my list I like.
There's a ton of talented coaches out there.
Oh, yeah, it really is. They don't get shot. Oh, I can't even think about what's his name? Ray Horton. Ray Horton is another one that deserves a shot.
All right,
Scott, who are you picking to win this game?
I think Detroit wins this game, but I'm gonna put this out there. It would not shock me to see the Falcons win, just because, and this is looking at it objectively, the teams that have more in-place staffs coming in, more organized teams as a whole coming in, tend to win these London games. When you look at Miami versus Oakland, Miami destroyed Oakland because they're just a way better organized team.
Right.
It's more about the organization than the actual team.
I don't know about that.
It's not saying much.
Are you talking about Joe Philbin as head coach?
Yeah, Joe Philbin as head coach had 3 years there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you talking about
fired their head coach.
I got you.
They've always been an organizational mess. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That England game always ends up being just a total clusterfuck every year.
Yeah, it is.
For whoever's in it. I'm trying to think of who was in it last year.
Was it Tampa Bay, Chicago? No, that was a couple of years ago, wasn't it? I'm trying to think. Ooh,
That was
I'm
year
not
Uh,
sure.
before last.
wasn't Minnesota in it last year?
2013 was Minnesota and Pittsburgh.
That's what it was. Okay.
And Minnesota had the long. Well, Minnesota had a better-ish team, but their organization behind the team's better. And then it was San Fran and Jacksonville. And let's be honest here, who's going to win that one?
Oh my
Yeah,
God!
easily.
Yeah.
San
You
Fran,
get
easily.
New England and the Rams, the Bears and the Bucks, the
Yeah.
Niners and the Broncos. Back before the Broncos got Peyton Manning,
Yeah.
Patriots and the Bucks again, which, again, Patriots are always going to be the ones that win.
Yeah.
The Saints beat the Chargers back in '08, and that was back when they were damn good. And then the Giants and Dolphins were the first game of that series.
All right, Greg, who do you got in this international game?
I don't know. I look at it. I still think Detroit right now. That defense is playing. They still got a pretty strong defense that's playing very well. Even without Calvin Johnson right now in the lineup, they got enough weapons. I think to still beat Atlanta. Like I said, I think this game is going to be a little bit better game than some of the past. But I think Detroit wins it. I do. I think this is another close one for them.
All right, Gene, let's go to you. We do picks each week, so we pick all the division games. Who do you got in Atlanta? Detroit at Atlanta in London.
Well, I think that Atlanta's going to win this game. You never know which Matt Stafford's going to show up. He's bipolar. Some weeks good, he's good, and then other weeks he just you don't understand what he's doing. So I think this is going to be one of those weeks that Matt Stafford has a good show, and well, not a good show, but I think that Atlanta does go ahead and beat them.
Now, but you got to keep in mind, last week against New Orleans, he did not have a very good show. He got picked off twice and he got sacked 3 times in that game.
Right.
All it was that New Orleans blew the last 4 minutes of that game. Other than that,
But when you think Matt Stafford is getting ready to just blow up and become an elite quarterback,
yeah.
he has like 3 or 4 games that are just horrible.
Oh, I get you, but I'm just saying, he might turn around and be good, Matt, in this game.
Yeah.
Maybe, but he doesn't have Calvin Johnson, it doesn't look like, from what I've seen or I haven't heard of Calvin Johnson coming back. And I see where Gene's coming from with this and that. He's kind of like, it's the same, it's kind of Jay Cutler syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jay Cutler can throw 5 touchdowns one week, and then the next week he throws 5 picks.
And you want to kick him down the stairs, yeah.
Yeah. Joe, who you got in this game?
I'm going to go with Detroit just because they're playing really well right now. I say they're playing really well, but they're winning right now.
Yeah.
And, that carries a lot of momentum. So I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think Detroit's going to go in and run them out of the house.
No, not at all.
I think it'll be closer than what people may be thinking. I wish I knew what the line was on that game. But I think Detroit in a close one.
I'm picking Detroit as well for one single reason, and that is their defensive line versus Atlanta's offensive line is, that's just not good on any day of the week. So, there's a chance that Matt Ryan and them can always catch lightning in a bottle and put up some numbers, but there's also a great chance that he's going to be on his back the whole game. Didn't you guys give up 5 sacks last week?
Against arguably the best pass rush in the league. Let's be honest here. Elvis Dumerville, Terrell Suggs, and Pernell McPhee are all amazing pass rushers. And
yes, they are.
Don't forget Nagata.
Again.
Don't forget Nagata.
Oh, yeah. Haloti Nada is an amazing pass rusher, too.
Yeah.
And he was just eating double teams all day. C.J. Mosley was doing a good job. He rarely blitzes, though. You got, and who else is it? They've got this defensive lineman, this nose tackle. Not Nada. It's Timmy Jernigan had a good game.
All right. Well, yeah, you're right, but still a lot of sacks. All right, let's move on to Carolina, Seattle. Greg, who you got?
You didn't even let me get to pick my own game?
I thought you did pick it. I thought you picked Detroit.
Yeah, you said, and the Falcons might. It wouldn't surprise you if they weren't.
Yeah, Atlanta could win,
Okay.
but Detroit.
Seattle, Carolina. I think Seattle bounces back on this one right now, and I mean Carolina's not necessarily showing signs that they're shoring up here because I mean they're getting like I said they're getting beat pretty bad in a lot of their games.
Scott, what do you think?
Carolina versus
Seattle.
Seattle.
Charlotte.
Ooh. And that's going to be a dumpster fire. I'm picking Seattle.
All
I just
right.
think they're a better team.
Yeah, Joe, I'm with these guys on this matchup. Is that I haven't seen enough to suggest that we are a better team than the Seattle Seahawks. And Russell Wilson is good. He's good, and sure, Cam Newton's great too. I mean, two young, good quarterbacks. But the thing is that secondary of their team is going to. The only thing that could be a trick, maybe it's like, have you ever thrown like a 40-mile-an-hour pitch to a Major League Baseball player? Consider it like that, like where it's so slow.
Bugs Bunny slow.
So that's timing. Yeah.
This is how when I was a kid, I was a little scrawny kid, and that's how I pitched. And one dude said that to me. He said, "I can't hit you because it's so slow." And so maybe our receivers are so slow, Joey, that they will throw the Legion of Boom off their mojo in their game. But other than that, I don't see us being more, defensively better than them at this point. So I don't know. That's why I'm going, and I don't know how we're going to stop Marshawn Lynch. I think right now we've just given up so many yards on the ground. We haven't stopped any. We couldn't stop anything. So Marshawn Lynch is one of the better backs that we're going to see all season, and so that's why I'm going to Seattle. Joe, who you got?
All right. Well, Tony, you are of little faith, and I understand why. I, however, am making a total homer pick, and I'm picking the Panthers to win in a very hard-fought defensive battle, and Carolina will win 10-9.
Wow. You know we give up 27 points a game.
That's the best line ever.
They're going to win because they're going to run the ball.
Give up 27 points a game.
Cam Newton's going to run the read option. He's going to get 220 yards on the ground. Throw for 200.
That was hilarious, Tony.
Oh, it's honest. It's brutal. Gene,
I would buy you a beer.
Thank you. Gene, here, speaking of good lines, Gene, I was watching a Twitter feed where I saw a Tampa Bay fan say this when Russell Wilson got his 300 yards passing and his 200 yards rushing or whatever he got, 150, he had 100 yards on the ground. They said, "Oh, thank God, now we don't have to hear Cam Newton is the only player in the universe who's gotten 200 yards in the air and 100 yards a game." So, I laughed at that. Gene, who do you got in the Carolina-Seattle matchup?
I think Seattle's upset about losing that game and the way they lost, and I think they win big in this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with that. All right, moving on. New Orleans, Green Bay. It is in New Orleans. Greg, going with?
I'm going with the Saints. 38-37 in that particular game. I mean, the fact that Saints are at home and they were like 19-0 at home right now. I mean, they haven't lost a game under Sean Payton in the last couple of years. At home, that's the one advantage I would give them on this. And they're definitely a different team at home compared to on the road. But I look at. I mean, like I said, I totally acknowledge that Green Bay is on a hot streak and they're playing pretty damn well. But I think this is a game right here that New Orleans, with the home field advantage, will win the game by at least by 1 point. I mean, I look at 38-37.
Do you think?
New Orleans gives up 27 points a game, right?
I'm well aware of it. But hence, that's why I said 38-37. I didn't go 10-9.
In the NFL by scoring these numbers.
I didn't go 10-9.
We've got the 32, the 30, the 29, and the 28.
Oh, you
The only
sure
team
you
that's
don't
close
just
is
have?
St. Louis.
You sure you don't just have the sorter when you look at the stat sheet going the wrong way? No, I'm just kidding. You can click and sort from top to bottom, bottom to top. Oh, all right. I want to know, and I'll just have you guys say this: is I think that if the Saints lose this game, Rob Ryan's fired.
I hope so.
I mean, well, if they lose badly, they probably will.
Listen, let me say this. Let me say this. I don't think that the Saints have the personnel to run Rob Ryan's defense correctly, and that's just my personal opinion. You lost Bird, who was your coveted free agent, and there hasn't been anybody to pick up the slack. I honestly do believe that if they had the right pieces in place, I think Rob Ryan's defense would work.
It did.
It's tough to do well with Paris Harrelson and Junior Gillette as your starting outside linebackers. As much as Greg, as much as you like Junior Gillette, he shouldn't be starting in the NFL. He is a third pass rusher in the rotation.
I mean, as a pass, right? He's
awful against the run.
No, he's
okay.
I would agree with that. He's a pass rusher, not a linebacker.
I think Green Bay absolutely destroys the Saints.
Wow.
Okay.
Like I said earlier, it's going to be like Green Bay. It's going to be like Baltimore against Atlanta this past week. Green Bay is going to demolish New Orleans because New Orleans doesn't have that deep safety to help out against the Jordy Nelson types and the Randall Cobb types, and they're just going to get burned all day long. All they're going to do is attack Patrick Robinson all day long. And it's going to be ugly all day long because there's not the pass rush there. If there was one team in the NFL right now that had a worse defense than the Atlanta Falcons, it's the New Orleans Saints. And if there's two, then you got to add the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
And if there's three, it's the Carolina.
You got to add the Panthers.
All right. Joe, who you got in this match?
I am going to go with the people who just handed us our butts. I'm going to go with the Packers because they're playing some very good football right now. And I think playing on that fast surface is only going to make them better.
That's gonna be tough to go with. But here's what I'm doing. I'm going Saints only because I feel like it's just a bad idea to bet against the Saints ever at home. So that's the only reason is the Saints winning at home. Gene, who you got in this game?
I was going to go Saints with the upset special.
All right. Let's run it back and let's go opposite order. Gene, who you got? Tampa Bay at Minnesota.
I'm picking Tampa Bay to win this game. I think this is where they turn it around. I think 24-14.
I think that's realistic.
That sounds reasonable.
Joe, what do you think about this Tampa Bay at Minnesota?
I think it's going to be fairly close. I think I'm going to go Minnesota because they're at home and Teddy Bridgewater is going to carry the team to victory. Minnesota.
I'm going Tampa Bay in this game, even though you got to worry a little bit about weather and stuff because they're playing outside of Minnesota. And it's rather chilly here in North Carolina. I mean, not chilly, it's in the 60s, which is like cold to us when you wake up in the morning.
Yes.
Coming out of like 99 degrees like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
But I don't think that Minnesota's any good.
The game's in Tampa Bay.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's here. It's here.
Oh, it's in
Not
Tampa?
that Tampa Bay's got some great home field advantage or anything, but
I thought it was in Minnesota.
Good point. Good point. Big. Well, I thought, how can they have any? Dean, tell us this. How can you guys have so many home games? You guys play every week at home.
No?
How many home games have you had, Gene?
Let's see. Carolina. We won in Pittsburgh. That was a away game.
You had the Baltimore game was at home.
Home.
Atlanta was away, Pittsburgh was away, New Orleans was away.
Yeah.
Okay. I felt like the
by
first.
Baltimore at home.
I felt the first 3 games were all home games almost for Tampa Bay, or 3
Yeah,
out
they're
of 4.
playing in Atlanta, which might again when is the NFC South has one of the smallest travel radiuses out of any conference.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or out of any division. Like all the teams are right in the same area.
Yeah.
That's why you can drive to a game if you want to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
I mean, I'm not going to drive 6 hours to a Buccaneers game or 6 hours to a Saints game, but if I wanted to, I could.
Yeah.
Probably
And you
7,
would
8 hours.
definitely- You got to come to Carolina and buy that beer for me. Scott, who do you got? Who do you got in this game?
I got Minnesota. They're a better
Wow.
team. Their defense in Minnesota is very underrated. Despite being 2-5, Minnesota has been in every game this year outside of Green Bay. You know, they've had a shot in every game this year outside of Green Bay. Honestly, if they could almost beat Buffalo, I don't see any reason why they can't beat Tampa Bay. Buffalo's a way better team than Tampa Bay. Buffalo matches up way better with Minnesota than Tampa Bay does. And Tampa just doesn't have that defense right now. They're still banged up. I don't think Deshaun Golson's that good in the first place. You know, and I think Cordero Patterson will finally figure out how to get that rhythm with Teddy Bridgewater against the practice squad caliber pass rushers that Tampa Bay has. You know, unless Gerald McCoy's 100% healthy, I still don't see a way Tampa Bay creates a pass rush.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I guess they're not Atlanta, so I mean, Atlanta can't either. But they did what you did with Massaquoi last week, right? What did Gene describe Goldston as earlier? As useless, or what was it? It was awesome.
Garbage, disgusting, awful.
No, I didn't. No, I just said he doesn't fit into the cover 2.
Right, but he said like he's useless. It was awesome. It was like useless in that system. Greg, who do you got in this game?
I kind of think if Bridgewater's playing, I got to go Minnesota in this one. I think they should respond better and they play better with Bridgewater.
Bridgewater's not even
and plus the fact that they have the defense is a little bit better. Their defense is better than most people realize with Minnesota. And I mean, if they can fairly generate some kind of a run game, I think Tampa loses that game.
Bridgewater's not even on the injury report. I don't see why he wouldn't be playing.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. Somebody was asking earlier. That's right. So he should be fine. Yeah, he did play last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he played last week.
Yeah, that's right. So he's fine. Yeah. So as long as Bridgewater's starting, yeah, I go Bridgewater on this one.
I can tell you one person that is not playing, and that is Christian Ponder. I don't think he'll ever see a football field again.
The way he played a couple weeks ago, he should not.
That's right.
All right.
Hang him up.
Okay, let's go ahead and close it out, fellas. I'm going to turn it over to Scott. Tell them, other than Falcon Central Radio, which I had a good time listening to today, how can they get in touch with you? You guys had a great guest on. It was pretty cool.
You can find me at Scott Karasik on Twitter, or you can find me at Falcons PFC on Twitter, or you can go to Draft Falcons, or you can go to Bleacher Report to read my stuff.
Busy bee. Joe Riolano, it's past your bedtime. It's past your operation hours.
It
but
The office
But-
is closed for the night.
You can reach me. It is. You can reach me tomorrow at Joe Rilano on Twitter. After 10, before 11, and have a good night. I can't wait to see what happens this weekend. We're gonna see the resurgence of the Panthers. I hope so.
You look like it.
Yes.
He's like this. Oh, we're gonna see the resurgence of the Panthers.
Don't
All
let
right,
that happen.
all right, Greg.
I'm Greg Barber. You can contact me at IntenseGB on Twitter. Feel free, like I said, to follow me. Of course, I follow back, and hey, we get to always talk football. And here goes with the Saints starting on this winning streak against Green Bay.
There we go.
Who that?
All right, Gene, tell us how our newest member of the Southbound and Down team. Gene, was that a Tampa Bay Buccaneers tattoo I saw on the inside of your arm? And we lost him. Hey!
That or he's
I think it closed me up like a convenience store, guys.
he's very good.
Seriously
bad.
though, where is Gene sitting? That is what I want to know.
McDonald's.
Speaking of McDonald's,
McDonald's in Phoenix.
Why is he at a McDonald's?
Because
In
the
Phoenix.
someone's
internet,
over his internet or something.
yeah, internet at his house is kind of fickle.
All right. Well, Gene, everybody, we will put up your Twitter handle in the. Actually, I can look it up. Joe, this is the Southbound and Down podcast. I hope you had a good night. Thanks for joining us and staying up extra late for us.
The
But-
premier
The premiere.
NFC South podcast.
You can check us out
Absolutely.
every Wednesday. Check us out every Wednesday night, 10 p.m. You can find us through CarolinaCatChronicles.com, and let's just hope that NFC South gets better. And if not, I hope that the Carolina Panthers end on the top of that trash heap that is the NFC South. Tony Dunn, I'm out, and look at this little double action right there on the banner. Let me take that down, and I'll see you guys. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, guys, appreciate it. Great job tonight.
All right, thanks for having us on.